Faith must be persistent. That's the title of this current message series, as I mentioned at the beginning of Mass. But our faith must be persistent. It must be something that is there at all times and in every way. And as I was praying over these particular readings that we're going to have for the month of October, I saw this theme presenting itself over and over again. The same theme that for you and for me should make us want to look a little bit more deeply into our hearts and ask, how is our faith? How strong is our faith? Is our faith there at all times? For instance, how many of you have thrown a mulberry bush into the sea? Okay, not one. I kind of figured that would be the case, but I think Jesus is using that as a bit of a hyperbole to get our attention and to make us really think truly and hard and a lot more deeply about our own faith and faith life. Look at what St. Paul is saying to his good pal Timothy. Stir up that flame of faith within you. Now, I'm not sure what Timothy was going through, but apparently he was struggling with something because St. Paul is trying to encourage him again to get that zeal back, to get that conviction back, to get that strength back to be able to preach the gospel. And he says it, I think, very succinctly. Think of your own lives. In a previous assignment, I had a parishioner come up to me all distraught. She said that she works for a government agency, a social services agency, and she was told that week that she had to remove the crucifix and the Bible from her desk. That having a public display on her desk on government property was inappropriate. People had been upset by it, and so they were asking her to remove it. She looked at me and she said, my faith is at the heart of everything I do. I want to look at my Lord on the cross, and I want to read the Bible every day, and I have it out as that reminder to me of who I am and by who I was redeemed. And I looked at her and I said, well, I don't think they could say that. You might want to check with a legal expert, but I don't think they can do that. She goes, well, I hope not, because this means so much to me. It means so much to have that there in front of me every day while I'm working. And I had to admit, I said, I think she's onto something, and I think maybe more Catholics need to hear these kinds of things, to see this kind of witness, to be witnesses yourself in this world. To have that revival, if you will, of our own faith so that we can revive the faith of others. But our faith must be persistent. For the record, I did find out they cannot tell you cannot display religious things on your own personal space where you work, even in a government facility. So just in case you were wondering if you work for the government. My dear brothers and sisters, I'm praying right now for a revival of our faith, that we who are sitting here get really excited about our faith, get really turned on to Jesus Christ, to really get that sense once again of who we are before the throne of God. That faith that must be persistent, that every day, in every place, in every way, it is evident that we are believers in Jesus Christ. Now that means that, of course, we have to examine, well, what is our faith life like anyhow? Ask yourself a question, and this is a question that I've posed before. If someone were to do an investigation of your public life, your social media, your home, could they convict you as a Christian? Now think about that for a second, because I've seen a lot of Facebook profiles of believers, and not once do I see on there anything that has to do with the faith, and yet others, their whole wall is constantly things of faith and posting things of faith. Is there anything when someone walks into your home that would see like a Bible in the living room or a cross hanging on the wall? Probably, good chances are. But what about something in front of your house? Something that as you pull up to your house every time, you're reminded of who you are before Jesus Christ. When I was taking the flight back the other day, one of the stewards was wearing his crucifix. He had a big crucifix too, wearing his crucifix going up and down the aisle. Our faith must be persistent, and our faith must be strong. Because Jesus reminds us when we're believers, storms are going to come. Trials are going to come. Difficulties are going to come. But if our faith is persistent and strong, when those trials come, we will endure them with the grace of God. Now, I always found this particular little parable that Jesus talks about the servant, I find that a little interesting. Because I'm not quite exactly sure how to apply that to my own life. I've never yet walked in after a full day's work and had someone say, go make me dinner. I don't even make my own dinner half the time. Who am I kidding? But I don't think he wants us to be literal. Like I said, I think he's saying this as a way to stir up our imagination. When you think you've prayed enough during the day, pray a little bit more. When you think you've read the Bible enough, read another passage. When you think you've said your rosary and you're done for the day, say another rosary. I could go on and on with so many other examples, but you get the point. Our faith must be persistent. So examine your family life, examine your home, examine how things are. Do you pray during the week yourself? Do you pray as a family during the week? When you're a little tired and it's been a long day, do you still get together and offer some praise to God? We need that grace. We need that revival within our families, within our homes especially, so that that persistent faith will become a little bit more contagious. If we walk around like Christian mopes, looking like we're not really excited or happy about Jesus Christ, you think anybody else is going to be happy or excited about Jesus Christ? It's time for us to revive the faith in Kings Park, to once again get the faith on fire in Kings Park, to once again be the men and women of St. Joseph's Parish who will go forth and offer prayers for everyone whom you meet. Every time I go out, I take a walk around. Every time I pass somebody, I ask Jesus to bless that person. Every time someone cuts me off, or I cut someone else, I hope they're praying for me, but every time someone cuts me off, I'll say, God, bless that person. What is our stance? Where are we at in our faith? And so, look at it a little bit more closely this week. We're going to have some very unique Gospels in the coming weeks because we're at a section in St. Luke's Gospel where he's the only one who included these parables, like today's parable. Next week with the 10 lepers, the only one comes back thankful. We're going to see that. We're going to see the persistent widow. We're going to hear about all of these different things. But during these next couple of weeks, say the prayer that the disciples said to Jesus, increase our faith. Increase our faith. And Jesus says, if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, increase our faith. And so we should be growing and growing and growing so that when the storms do come, and they will come, you will have to deal with the loss of a loved one at some point. You may have to deal with a serious illness. You may have to deal with problematic spouses or children. You may have to deal with these things in life, and probably many of you are dealing with such things. But if your faith is strong, it bears you through it. If your faith is persistent, you will go through it with that joy in your heart, knowing that Jesus Christ is your Lord and Savior. Like some people think joy always has to be that happiness, that giddiness, but it's not. Joy is not that way. In fact, I have found in my own life that the highest joys that I have often come out of something very difficult. The example I use all the time is the birth of a child. The woman goes through labor, and you place that baby on her chest, and boom, there's a smile on her face. And all that difficulty was gone. The joy that comes from that moment. So go this week and keep saying, Lord, increase my faith. Help me to grow in faith. Help me to become so strong in my faith that I can witness it to everybody. Put that cross in front of you every day. Put that Bible on your desk. Start listening to some of those podcasts that might help you rather than spending all of your time looking at useless things in the news or at statistics or all these other things that we spend so much time doing. If we can just increase our faith a little bit, imagine how much we can help those whose faith is weak. And so go forth and say to the Lord, increase my faith. For Lord, you are the one and the only one. I praise you and I thank you, for you have filled me with such grace, such strength, such joy, that even I can go forth and share the good news. Pray that the Lord increase your faith each and every day, so that you may truly one day get to know him so intimately that when the time comes and you go to meet him at the pearly gates, he's going to look at you and say, you were a good, unprofitable servant. Enter the kingdom with joy. God bless you.